Right, I've started recording. So, Cass Piper Cassidy here, joined graciously by Sean, Victorian Piper. Thank you very much for taking the time this morning to, yeah, thank you very much. And sorry for running a bit late on my part as well. Yes, it's a very small world. Before we started recording, me and Sean discovered that we both work roughly for the same employer. But we'll not go into that in too much detail because I don't know if the strip joint
if we told you, we'd have to kill you.
We'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
Are you smoking this morning, Sean? Or is it too
early? I am. I've yet to prepare it. I'll do it in a minute. I wanted to show you first.
Okay.
So this morning I'm going to be smoking. You've probably not heard of this. It's
Highland
balls. Now these are really quite interesting. I don't know if you'll be able to see the jar. I'll take one out.
Okay.
So when you buy these, it's from a small shop in Germany. They're very good to deal with, although very unusual. You have to pay by bank transfer before they send the stuff out. So
you have to pay bank transfer before they send?
Yeah.
Dodgy.
Yeah, it's just a little shop in Kiel, in Germany. And anyway, I took a gamble on these because obviously you never know what half this stuff's like.
Yeah.
When they send it, they send a number of what they call pralines, and then there's I'll show you what's in the jar. So
they're like they remind me of the Indonesians chew the betel nuts that are like.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They look like something you would stick a wad in your mouth.
But so that is a wrapper of Oriental loop, whole Oriental loop, and then the praline inside, if you like, is a mix of Virginia and Burley. So again, I don't know if you can see in the jar. There's a few pralines at the top.
Yeah.
And then the rest of what they give you is the Oriental wrapper.
Okay.
And then the Virginia Burley mix. So you can make your own up afterwards once you've used the praline.
Must be some powerful smell off of that jar.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's mostly Oriental because I've got those pralines at the top. But
do you prepare it the same way as a plug? Do you cut it up or?
So apparently you can either stuff that hole in the bowl, which I'm not sure I quite fancy, to be honest. So I tend to just break them off, which is what I'm going to do anyway now.
Okay, that's cool. I've never seen anything like that. Any wads of tobacco?
No, well, that's what attracted me to it. It was the fact it was just so radically different. Obviously, you've got your twists, you've got your plugs, your various then, ribbon cuts and shag cuts and all the rest of it. But I thought I've never seen anything like that.
It's very interesting. What are they called? Just balls?
Yeah, they're called Highland balls.
Highland balls.
Like I say, small.
But that style of wrapping, is it just called?
Oh, sorry, I don't know. Like I say, they call them a praline.
Praline?
I guess they look a bit like praline.
Oh, praline, right. See, never seen that before. Next time I'm in Germany, I'll have to. What town was it in?
Kiel, Kiel.
Kiel. Is that south, north, or central?
I think it's north. I did have a look just out of interest on Google Maps, and to be honest, now you've asked, I can't remember.
The wife.
Yeah, just.
The wife's Dutch, and sometimes we would, when we're over there seeing her family, we would drive across over to Germany sometimes. So
okay.
It's not entirely impossible that I could try and source those. Looks very interesting. And is there the Oriental? Is that the main body of the tobacco, or?
So I guess it depends how you break the ball up, because obviously I've just broken that up to pat, and I've got more Oriental leaf. There's big pieces of leaf.
Yeah.
I've got more Oriental in this than I have the Virginia Burley mix, but I found that this was the first blend I bought that had a substantial amount of Oriental in it, which is why it was a bit of a gamble. Turns out I really like it. So I prefer more Oriental in the mix.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the point. You can do it however you want to do it,
Absolutely. I like it.
I've got enough there anyway.
The Burley and Virginia Centre, I really like the sound of too. I think I'd enjoyed it. really getting into my Burleys recently, especially the Amphora Original, the Burley Forward Blend. I really can't stop smoking it. But today I'm
Yeah.
smoking Hardcastle Bulldog Sandblast Billiard with some the, what do you call it, the chocolate flake, the Kendall Mare Samuel Goworth.
Okay, the Sun's chocolate flake. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm yet still haven't ordered the Bob's. Was it you said the Bob's is slightly better as well?
Well, I don't know because I haven't tried the Suns, but I have got the Bobs, and funny enough, I smoked that yesterday. And that is beautiful, really, really nice tobacco.
Yeah.
That. But just so I'm using my Friday Savinelli,
Lovely.
very quickly become maybe my favourite choice.
Really?
I've got my favourite type with me in case I suspect I maybe have.
Brilliant.
This is close getting there, and you'll see why.
Did you ever see the video about, what do you call the guy? Is it George Bruno or Bruno George? The white
George
beard.
Bruno, the guy with the white beard, yeah?
Yeah, he's like the coach, life coach in a way, isn't he? He's kind of
lifestyle coach.
Yeah, he's he's got a big following now. He says he calls it the Sultanelli, doesn't it? Because it's he got it wasn't the Roma Lucite, it was just the Black Roma range, I think. And I think this was before John Harden passed away, or Matches 860, and so he was raving about it even before it was the Friday Savinelli, I believe. I think so. I think that video was made before John's passing anyway. But yeah, everyone who tries it says it's something they reach for again and again and again. It's
got that connection. Obviously, a fellow, member, sadly not with us anymore. But for me, like I said, it is the shape as well. I found the shape really suits.
Yeah, I have the Dolomiti, the 673 KS. It's a very nice shape. That bent Rhodesian, I suppose it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very nice. I used to think Rhodesians garish, especially the big tall ones with the lines around the rim of the bowl. And now I love them. Now I really like them.
Bulldogs and Rhodesians, I do like the shape a lot.
The whole bulldog family is probably my favorite. Well, that's an interesting tobacco. We'll let you get a light going on. We'll do that too. Are you fussy about what you use? Do you use matches all the time? Or?
In the house, I use lighters for the convenience.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in my garage and I'll come here to basically spend time, then I tend to use matches.
Okay.
Also mainly because I've been caught out so many times on videos where my lighter wasn't there.
Right, yeah.
Matches are pretty dependable, I'll give them that.
Yep, good to have them on hand.
Yeah.
So, what part of the north are you from, roughly?
The north?
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question because I wouldn't consider myself as north. So I'm from Birmingham originally.
Are you? Sorry, Red.
So pretty much bang in the middle.
Midlands, yeah.
Yeah, so Birmingham originally, Castle Bromwich specifically. A lot of UK-based people might know Castle Bromwich.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our overseas friends probably won't, but
forgive my ignorance. Sorry? Anyone that doesn't have a London accent must be from the north. Forgive my ignorance.
Well, we're north of London, yeah, I'll give you that.
Sorry.
But yeah, Castle Bromwich is where the Spitfires are built.
Right. Didn't know that.
And the factory still exists. Only now it's build Jaguar cars.
Right.
But yeah, that was Castle Bromwich's sort of claim to fame. It's, just about every Spitfire ever built was built there.
Really, right? Did they have a big thing on for the recent 11th of November?
Funnily enough, they don't have a particularly big sort of parade, or I can't word escapes me at the minute. But if you saw my video I did about Remembrance Day, where I mentioned my grandfather's,
yeah,
the War Memorial in Castle Bromwich is right outside my grandfather's house where my mother lives now. So it's always a big gathering, but I guess it's the same as any small town, to be honest. But they don't do anything particularly big. There is a big monument or a sort of modern sculpture for the Spitfires just outside, like I said, what's now the Jaguar factory.
Yeah.
On an island, two on the Spitfires crossing over as they in the sky. It's an impressive thing. But
yeah, no,
it doesn't really get mentioned too much.
Yeah, no, it's lovely to have a flyover like that, especially when they bring out the old Gunners and Spitfires and or what have you. Yeah, we don't. I mean, there is plenty of things goes on in Northern Ireland as well to commemorate, but and it doesn't really cause bother this in the same way that the other stuff that we have does. You know, I think both parties can realize that respect needs to be given to people who gave up their lives for our freedom, to put it frankly. But yes, let's talk about tobacco anyway. So you and I think then, well, you said you've only really got a year under your belt or so, is it? Proper tobacco?
Not quite. Coming up to about a year, December.
Okay, it would only really be 1 to 2 years that I've been smoking regularly. I bought my first pipe about 7 or 8 years ago, but I only smoked it. I didn't even smoke it properly. You know, I couldn't understand what the fuss was about. Very hot, very fast, and didn't taste anything. But only really in the past couple of years. I've been watching pipe videos and YTPC stuff for about 4 years or so, maybe 5 years now. But yeah, so we have. I think we also have similar tastes. Whenever I see him, I mean, there's nothing I wouldn't really enjoy. I'm the same as you in that regard. I mean, I'll try anything. Even I'd even be interested to try everything, even Perique and Latakia on its own at some point, just to get a feel for it.
Just to try it, yeah, you're not wrong. I'm given the opportunity, I would do.
Yeah.
Perique especially, I do like Perique.
It's lovely. Yeah, it's such a strange commodity as well. If you ever watch any of the videos about where it's from and the family, it is essentially a family business with, you know, it's just one area in what I forget the state of the southern state in America, but
isn't the actual place St. James?
Is it?
Why I think the St. James place is named
right
because it's a Perique place.
Okay.
I think, could be wrong, but I'm sure it's St. James in
you know more
the southern state it is. You're correct, it is one of the southern states.
But yeah, I'd love to try Perique on its own. But such a strange process when you see the barrels and then they have the presses and you see the bubbling almost like a cauldron underneath all that pressure. So, but pepperiness, and it's lovely. But yeah, like you, there's nothing I wouldn't try, certainly not. And tried that St. James Flake recently. Absolutely wonderful. The guy who owned the tobacconist I was in recently, that was his go-to tobacco, and so I had to try some, and it's really good vapor. But I wouldn't say it's meant to be very heavy on the Perique, but I wouldn't say it's anything out of the ordinary. It's certainly got more than Elizabethan mixture, but yeah, it's nothing to be scared of. It's nice.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said in when we were sending the message back to the sports, I've tried the St. James slug. Now, whether it was just a bit of a sort of dried out bit I got, but it was so dense. I mean, I know plugs tend to be dense, but this one was ridiculous. It took real effort to cut. You could not rub it out for love nor money.
All right.
So I ended up having to pretty much cube cut it and try and smoke it as is. It was a pain, to be honest. So what was left of it has gone in my odds bodkins jar of all the bits and bobs you get at the bottom of the tin. So I didn't have a great experience with it, but I do want to try the flake. I will pick that up at some point. Because like you say, lots of people like it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to process. Right? Yeah, I think it's like 3.3 stars, and there's over 600 reviews on tobacco reviews. 3.3 out of 4, over 500 reviews or so. Yeah, pretty good. Like, so just ask bits of some silly questions then. If you could only smoke one pipe then for the rest of your piping career, and let's just pretend it has the same qualities as a meerschaum, so it's the invincible pipe. Which one would it be? And you said you might have it with you.
So it'd be a toss-up, I think, between this one, which is obviously a pretty recent acquisition, and this one, which is a Molina Calabash Sunblast. It was cheap as chips. It was less than 30 UK pounds. So dollars wise, I don't know what, $40 maybe. It was cheap. I assumed it would be pretty not great. I'll just be honest, I like it. I like the look of it. I like the shape.
I like the saddle bit.
Yeah, but when it turned up, obviously I got it out of its packet, and you couldn't really tell from the pictures as a Sunblast. Sunblast is my favourite finish. So I was pleased with that. It's actually very nicely put together, because I know Molinas, they tend to have that higher range. They're sort of reasonably expensive. And I know they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
So this was obviously one of their budget range pipes, but I just love the look of it, the feel in your hand. It smokes brilliantly. So I tend to smoke my stronger blends in this. The pretty hefty stuff.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about it. I mean, like I say, just the look and how it smokes, I absolutely adore it, and that's why I think the new 673 is getting close to being favourite, because the shape are very, very similar.
Very similar, yeah. That's a lovely pipe.
So, it is nice. I've had a few comments on this, and I think people find it hard to believe that it was one of the sort of budget cheap pipes I picked up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've never seen fortunately for me, but I've never seen another one. So people say, well, where did you get it from? And well, I could tell them where I got it from, but they haven't got them anymore. So I think if I had to pick one, I don't know. I'd probably still go with that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too worried if I dropped that, for example. So if I was stuck on a desert island somewhere with my 1.5, it's got to be knackered.
Yeah. And you're going to have
to.
You'll have to learn to whittle a pipe from a palm tree then.
Mm.
And then the obvious next question then, let's say two. What two tobaccos then, if you had to choose for the rest of your life? You're only allowed to smoke two different blends.
The first one is one that quite a few people have picked, I think, especially UK-based people, because it's easier to get, and that's Germain's Rich Dark Flake.
Okay, lovely.
It's the only tobacco I've actually bought in any kind of quantity. And when I say quantity, I'm still not talking cheap sellers like a lot of the guys have. I'm talking I've got 3/4 of a jar full, which for me is a lot. I mean, about the same as that, to be fair. What's in that one? That's only full because of the quantity you have to buy. It's 100 grams.
Yeah.
So that would be my first one. Second one. I'm not too sure. I think because the Rich Dark Flake, for my taste, I find it's a bit like I sort of compare it to smoking. It's like drinking a liqueur for me. It's just got that really rich, obviously, sort of velvety taste to it.
Yeah.
So I think to offset it, I think I have to go with one of the stronger blends. I'm just trying to think of the strong ones I've tried. I'm trying to think which one I've picked. I think it might be Dark Strong Kentucky.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, rich dark flakes are just general, really nice smoking, and Dark Strong Kentucky for when you want to.
For your evening, your final smoke. Lovely.
Possibly.
Good.
I mean, I know it's kind of like I tend to only smoke one, maybe 2 bowls a day, and it tends to be around now. Funnily enough, it's time. We're doing 11 in midday here, aren't we? As we're doing this, that tends to be around the time I smoke. I'll have had my morning meetings.
On a Saturday?
On a Saturday, actually, tell a lie. Yeah, you're right. During the week.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
To be around now. Saturdays and Sundays, I'm a morning person. I can't do late night. I tend to be dropping off at about 10 o'clock, bit of a lightweight. But I do get up at 5, 6 o'clock every morning.
Right.
Over the weekend, I do tend to quietly come into the garage here and I'll have a bowl of something.
I'm the other way around. I'm terrible. Sorry? I'm the other way around. I'm a night owl. I feel terrible in the morning. It takes me a couple of hours to get into a positive mindset, and then at night I get like a second wind. And if I start smoking this early in the day, it means that I'll have at least 3 bowls. But yeah, I would only really have one or two usually, or usually definitely 2, sometimes 3 more like. But if I start this early, it's probably 3 or 4 today because we're starting early. Well, this is early for me, but not for you.
No, I've been up hours and hours now.
Yeah. No, I was only out of bed by 10:30 or so. That's why I had to be late.
Same as my daughter.
Sorry.
So what would your tobaccos be, or what would you pick at the minute?
If I had to pick 2, I think Amphora Original would be the everyday go-to for the burley side of it, and then probably in English, probably 965 for the evening, for the other end of the spectrum. But then if I have 965, the Amphora might be a bit strong yet to have as an everyday. But no, that if I had to choose, that would be it. I really love 965 as an English. It just has the right amount of Latakia for me personally. I know it is a bit strong. Some people find it.
I've never tried it. I do have a few Latakia or English blends. I do enjoy them actually. I think the strongest one in terms of Latakia I've got is I've got some Cornell and Deal's Star of the East.
Right, I've heard things. Haven't tried that.
50% Latakia, so it's pretty full on.
50?
So yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So you've got to like Latakia.
Yeah.
And that is very, very nice, but I wouldn't smoke it all the time. A nice occasional one. But I've got some milder English Squadron Leader. That's a good sort of, if you just want to, just a little bit of Latakia in it.
Yeah.
And Jermaine's 1820 flight.
Haven't tried it.
I'll be honest.
No.
I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a Jermaine fanboy.
Okay.
There's not a Jermaine's blend I haven't tried and absolutely loved it. I think it's possibly just the way they process their tobaccos that suits my palate.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, the Rich Dark Flake is my favourite. That was the first Jermaine's I tried. I was then sent some Jermaine's Brown Flake, which, when I opened the bag, it was sent as a sample. When I opened the bag, I just thought, what on earth is this? It smelt like, for want of a better word, cow shit. It was very, very funky smell to it.
Right.
But I did think, well, you know, it just generally doesn't smell like it does. It doesn't, you know, taste and smell in the bag. So I gave it a go, and it was, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's got a real peaty taste to it.
Right. Lovely. Lovely.
Which again, because at the time I wasn't overly keen on plain Virginias or pure Virginia, and which the brown flake is. And the rich dark flake is Virginia Burley. The brown flake is purely Virginia, but you'd never guess because it's as dark as anything. You know, almost black. And again, it's just the way they mature and process the tobacco. It completely changes it. I'm an absolute rank amateur at the minute. Not even quite a year. But I'd have never guessed it was a Virginia if I hadn't looked it up.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it was.
That's so dark.
But I absolutely love that. And that's another one that on the back of that sample I've actually bought more to stick in a jar, you know.
Okay.
So, and again, like I say, the 1820 place, again, it's last year, it's an English type blend, but I think it's still based on those matured Virginias, the way Jermaine's processed it. So again, it's just top notch for me, that.
Right. I'll have to try that, yeah. And Squadron Leader I've had many times. I have a friend who smokes it as a daily, well, not a daily, but if he smokes any English, it's Squadron Leader. We are very lucky to have Galway, the full selection that they offer in the UK and Ireland. The prices,
absolutely, yeah.
We're not so lucky with the prices, though, are we?
No, because we're sort of stuck with that minimum pricing plus obviously the government sticking its tax on, which is just increased this week, doesn't it? Yeah, that's not ideal. I mean, I know in other countries, especially over in the States, they get the sort of the cheaper bulk blends.
Yeah.
And some of them are really, really good from what I can tell and people say. You know, it's a shame we don't get that here, but it is what it is, I guess.
I've seen some bulk blends that go for $9 for 2 ounces. What's an ounce? Is it 23 grams, I think?
So 2 ounces equates to, I think, 54 grams. So for their 2 ounce tins, they get slightly more than we get in a 50 gram tin here.
Right. That's $9.
Mm.
And that wasn't like a second-rate tobacco. It was something good, you know. That was on smokingpipes.com. So that's obviously not going to be it's a premium site, you know. Yeah,
so I know I mean, again, and like I say, there are the cheaper ones, aren't they? The sort of the value blends, and they're what, $5 for a couple of ounces. Crazy cheap.
I know, yeah.
But like you said, we've got Gary and Jermaine, so
absolutely,
I'm happy with that.
I'd happily pay through the nose like we do. It won't be long until it's £20 for a tin of your favorite tobacco. It won't be.
No, probably not. I mean, I have ordered from the States. I ordered from the States fairly early on because obviously you look at things and you look at the YTPC videos on YouTube and tobacco reviews, and there's a new piper. You don't know what's the best and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
You're just looking at what's what, and then you look at the US stuff. You see how cheap it is in relation to ours, even with the postage and the potential customs. I've ordered twice from the US, only twice. The first time I didn't get collared for customs, so that was a pretty good deal.
Good.
The second time I did, so it's still not so good. But then you explore what we've got in the B&Ms and what, you know, obviously the number of good internet retailers we've got here.
Yeah.
Discover the Gareth and the Jermaines and stuff, and then you think, and I did come round to that thinking of, well, you know what? I don't really think I want to bother chasing the US stuff. It's there if I'm really desperate, but otherwise we've got more than enough good stuff over here.
Absolutely.
I don't really need to chase that kind of thing.
I was obsessed with trying Eileen's Dream, which is a CA because I really like the sound of that Irish cream and white chocolate truffle, but
Yeah.
it's and it doesn't look to be a sticky, wet brown Cavendish. It looks to be a nice tobacco, but I had a guy say I got a package from Philadelphia from Alex Mirzov in the YTPC. He doesn't create, but he sent me out this. It was 4 different blends, and one of them was called Angel Food.
Oh yeah, I saw your video. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's meant to be like Lane 1Q by Lane Limited. Very nice, and not sickly in any way. And then there was a Sutliff butter, what was it called? Buttered rum. So I think it's the Sutliff buttered rum, but it's very nice. A lot heavy on the burley and suited it, but yeah, it's often like it used to be I really wanted every day was thinking about ordering from Smoking Pipes or whatever. But yeah, once you discover what you have at your doorstep, and the more well, me anyway, the more my palate's matured, the sweetness of whatever the Virginias it can be enough now, as opposed to seeking out that coffee, caramel, cherry, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I have got I've got a few aromatics, to be fair, and I do still like them. I mean, as with most people, you tend to start off on the aromatics, I think.
Yeah.
The starter kit I got had a bit of a mix of half aromatic, half sort of pure tobacco type stuff. And I did lean more towards the aromatics, but I know a lot of people or that you speak to, they seem to start the aromatics and then they move completely away from them into all the various other things. So bear in mind that I do smoke, like I say, the dark from Kentucky, Old Dark Fired, Black Twist, Brown Twist, some really strong, potent tasting tobaccos. But I do still like some of those aromatics.
Me too.
They are nice on occasion.
Yeah,
pretty easy. I think once you've got your technique down and you're not rushing and you just learn to slow down a bit and you suck it out, don't you? Then I think the aromatics smoke quite well, actually. Most
It's a pity that whenever the new pipe smokers go for the aromatics, because they have a tendency to bite and get wet and hot. But I still love the Rattrays. Do a good London Eye. It's called. It's like cocoa and a bit of rum and what have you. I've got Rattrays London Eye and I have Buckingham, and then I've got a handful of other ones from Miss Moran's, the brick and mortar, like their blends.
Yeah.
Cherry and what have you, wild cherry. But yeah, I still really enjoy each end of the spectrum. But I mean, I'm all over the place. So you as well. You don't even. I would like even during the day, it wouldn't be the same tobacco each day or anything. It'd be completely different.
I in 100 bowls, there's probably only 2 in 100 that I'll actually smoke the same thing twice, one after the other.
There you go.
Very, very rare.
Yeah.
I keep saying to myself, I'm going to open a tin, just a smaller 50-gram tin,
finish it,
and I'm going to smoke nothing but that. Because lots of people say to really get to know the blend, you really should just smoke that one thing. And at the current rate I'm going, I can open a tin, and it'll probably be 2 years before I finish that tin. Okay. So I think I have been buying a few tins to sort of stick away in my drawer. I kind of ummed and ahed about cellaring, and I thought, I don't really smoke enough. I thought, that 1, maybe 2 bowls a day, I thought I'll be long gone if I start buying stuff to stick it in drawers. I'll never get around to it. But I have bought a few. And I think I will crack one open and just stick with it. One of the ones I bought recently was Errymore Place.
What did you think of it? I tried it for the first time a few nights ago.
That's one of the ones I bought, not tried, but that's the one I'm thinking of opening and just sticking with it and smoking nothing else but that until it's done.
I'll not say anything.
I don't know what I think of it yet.
I'll not say anything.
sounds good, but
It,
I
yeah,
don't know.
it was made in Gallagher's in Belfast.
Hmm.
It's not anymore, but that Gallagher's, the factory used to be slap bang beside the main railway station, Great Victoria Street in Belfast. So
Okay.
as soon as you get off the train, you got this aroma, and that was amazing. Like real figgy, tart,
Hmm.
just lovely tobacco smell. Long gone now, maybe 15 years it's gone, I think. Cellaring, yeah. Tobacco's never going to be cheaper as well. It's another reason, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean that's partly why I've been buying a few things. Probably, I had a box turn up this morning actually. I've got it down here. I brought it in with me when I was up and had a look through here. And that was from Estivals in Germany.
Okay.
So the majority of the stuff I buy from the UK because it's mainly Gary stuff, or like I said, but there were a few things I fancied trying, and while we're still while we're still within the EU, buying from Germany is quite cost effective at the minute. So
Yeah.
um,
If are you into cigars as well?
but you should say that. So I used to be a cigarette smoker over 20 years ago. I didn't start till my mid 20s. So I was late starting, and I only smoked for about 4 years. 4 years, 5 years. I could probably work it out, but I'm absolutely terrible. But basically, I gave up on New Year's Eve 1999.
Okay.
And had my last cigarette just before midnight. Said, right, that's it. I'm pretty strong-willed, so you have that week of it being like, oh, absolutely terrible. But I found you get past that week and it was good. And I didn't smoke then for 20 years, anything. But back then I did smoke cigars. So 20 years later, I took up the fight. So
There you go.
quite a bit of a gap. But I fancied getting back into cigars. So I did buy some, just a another little cigarillo thing. I will start back with the mild, easy ones. Also, they were quite handy. I was very time limited because it's 10 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
Quite enjoyed those. So I have bought some. I did stick them on my order because, again, from Germany, the stuff over here that's about 15 quid pack is like €5
Yeah.
over there. So I did get some today.
Nice. Haven't tried those.
I've done an antico. I like these mainly because they look like proper cowboy cigars. These real rustic looking things. So I just fancied trying them, and they're actually wrapped up. But there's a couple of tubes with sort of what you call proper cigars in them. I can't even remember what they were now, but I mean they're not going to be spectacular. They were €2.10 each. But again, you look them up over here, and they're charging about 8-10 quid for them.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd try them because I did used to enjoy them back, like I say, all those years ago when I was just mates with it.
There's a good German website, Hasio or Hathio, Hacio, Hacio, Hathio. Yeah, but it's got good prices there if you want to check them out. Yeah. Cigarettes for me as well, long gone, thank goodness. I smoked for about 13 years or so. So yeah, I was working in bars and smoking and drinking too much, and it's amazing how your body, how much you can put it through when you're in your 20s, isn't it? But yeah, glad to get over that habit.
Yeah, that was a long time ago for me.
Yeah, but yeah, most cigarettes are made with burley, isn't that the case? So some people find,
so, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Some people are reminded of the cigarettes too much by burley, and they don't like the burley blends then.
I can't say I found that too much. Funny enough, again, when I started, I had one of the samples in my starter kit was Gareth 4 Virginia flame. And I found I really didn't like that at all. That reminded me of cigarettes. But I did smoke roll-ups.
Golden Virginia?
And it probably was. I don't remember, but it probably was Golden Virginia. So that's probably what reminded me of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Most of them are Burley.
Yeah. Yeah, I smoke Golden Virginia. It's the best of a bad bunch, I think, isn't it? Did you have a rolling tobacco called Drum over there as well? Drum?
We had it here, but I don't think I ever bought it. No.
Really?
My late uncle used to smoke a lot of Drum. He smoked a pipe occasionally, but he was most definitely a roll-up man. And Drum was his go-to. So they lived in on the Wirral, Merseyside.
Okay.
So ironically, I used to spend a lot of time in Merseyside and Liverpool as a kid during the school holidays. So I probably no end of times went past the Ogden's factory and didn't know it. So
yeah.
Another one long gone.
On Park Street, I think.
I couldn't remember.
I think it is. Well, that's where the original one was, I think. The Victorian Piper, then, I meant to ask you about it. Do you reenact, or how did that all start, or what made interest?
So I've always had an interest in industrial heritage. My dad was an engineer by trade, although over the years he moved more into executive positions. So basically, he spent his entire working life at what was at the time Austin Rover, and he's now Jaguar Land Rover.
Yeah. So
he never changed company. He's always worked for the same company. So there's always sort of engineering stuff. He'd think with his cars and things, and that got me into, wanting to think with engineering type stuff. Also as a kid, where we lived in Castle Bromwich, obviously back in it would have been the late 70s and then early 80s when I was old enough to just disappear out of my head. Obviously, you used to just go out the house and you'd be gone all day and you'd come back when you were hungry and, a bit tired sort of thing. And we used to sort of wander off across the place. And I remember there was a tunnel. It was probably a drainage or inspection tunnel, and it went basically under the M6 motorway. Popped out on the other side, which is where the old hangars used to be, for the old airfield that was next to the Spitfire factory during the war. And also there's a railway line running through there. So I used to spend a lot of time exploring around that.
Okay, yeah.
And also the canals in central Birmingham. That was another big sort of draw for me as a youngster.
Yeah.
The history behind, that canal network. So I'd always had an interest in it, but never really did much with it until I've got that much older and moved out here to Shropshire. And we've been here 18 years, around about 18 years. And obviously, sort of here in Ironbridge, which is just down the road, if you've heard of Ironbridge. So that's generally considered, sort of like the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
There's an awful lot of history about the place. So I've done a little bit of exploring and what have you. But the Victorian stuff that I do, which is at Smithfield, Victorian Town, we'd visited a lot since we moved. Well, I moved to Telford. My wife has always visited. We've been as visitors quite a few times. And then our eldest daughter, she'd been volunteering there during the summers while she was sort of at school and college. She then ended up working there full time. And I just chance chatting to her, said, how do you get into, how do you get to sort of go and volunteer there sort of thing? And she said, it's quite, just ping them a message, or I can go talk to the volunteers. She said, well, what would you be interested in doing? And I said, well, obviously with the interest in engineering and the history of it, the steam engine particularly,
yeah.
And also I knew at the time, they do all their engineering on site. So if anything needs fixing, if there's a gate broken, one of the engines doesn't work, they've got a huge workshop with all the. I'll have to do a video there actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
Probably quite interesting to show you all the, you know, the lathe and the old traditional old drill presses and things they've got in there that they still use to make and repair things now.
Right.
So I'll be interested in that and interested in the steam engine. Cut a long story short, I went and had a chat with them, and a chat with Dale, who leads the engineering side of things. And the original intention is that I'd be doing a lot of sort of back of house engineering type stuff, but at the time they were struggling for, as they call them, demonstrators for these steam engines. So I said, well, I've done a lot of public facing jobs. I'm quite happy talking to people. So yeah, sure, you know, stick me in a costume, I'll go do that. But it turned out that that's what I actually then preferred to do.
Yeah.
You know, talking to the public and teaching them about the history of the engine. So that's how I got into it. And then I've been there, it was a year in September. So before I started smoking the pipe. So yeah, I've been there a year or so. I mean, like I say, unfortunately, we're shut again with the current lockdown. But I think they're looking, as soon as the government gives go ahead, they're looking to reopen early December. So I've already had a thing for a couple of days. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah.
And in terms of becoming the Victorian Piper, I say I started on the pipe in December 2019. I've been watching all the YTPC videos and presenters and thought, you know what, watching, you know, all the sort of, you know, the well-known folks we've got, and obviously the late John Harden and people like that. I thought I couldn't do a channel just, I don't think, talking about pipes. I don't know enough. I don't really know much, and I was very unsure of talking to the camera, so, you know. But I thought what I do know a lot about is history and a lot about the Victorian town I'm working in. I thought, well, that might be interesting. So I'd always got my phone with me. So I think if you go back and watch my very first, my sort of YTPC introduction video, I just decided one morning I'd lit the fire in the boiler for the engine, and you've got a bit of time then to just drink tea or whatever while you wait for pressure to come up. And I thought, you know what? I'll make a video, and if it's just rubbish, I can just delete it.
Yeah.
But I did it, so I'm just holding it. You know, I'm holding the phone in my hand. It's upright, and it's everything video with it on YouTube. But I watched it back, and I thought, well, what could it hurt? Pick it up. If nobody watches it, nobody watches it. I can always just get rid of it and not bother. But a few people did watch it. A few people said, well, you know what? I think that would be interesting. Yeah, we would watch that, Sean. So obviously, put a bit more effort into the following videos. But then we went pretty much straight into that first lockdown. So I think, I can't remember actually, but I think I probably only did that first intro video and then I hadn't got access to all my engines and history. So that kind of fluffed it for a bit. But over time, I've got a bit more confident in front of the camera and, you know, come up with ideas of things that people would find interesting. So
yeah, no, it's certainly very interesting.
I was going to say, yeah, hopefully more people seem to like and find interest in it. So I'm just desperate to get back there now so I can, you know, make some useful videos, because obviously, even though I can't get to the town, we're effectively locked down. I can't really go out and about because there's plenty of other things that aren't in the Victorian town that, you know, I can do videos on. But
yeah,
we'll be there soon. We'll be there soon, I'm sure.
You'll get there. It's a good story. It's good to, obviously pipe smoking ties in perfectly with the Victorian era as well. It would have been hard.
Yeah.
It would have been hard to find somebody who didn't smoke a pipe.
I think it's also probably the only place I can get away with effectively smoking at work.
Yeah, as well.
That's being outdoors, because it's a big outdoor town.
Yeah.
So as long as you're sort of in an area that's away from the public, I don't think anyone minds too much. And I think a lot of people, I quite often get asked to have my photo taken. I feel right to take your photo. If you're just standing in the doorway, of the boiler room or the engine room or something with the pipe hanging out your mouth, you know, and, you know, thumb stuck into your waistcoat pocket, it does look as it would have done. So people, yeah, quite like to take the picture of that, you know.
That's great. And the clothing then you hinted at, or somebody hinted at, it doesn't come cheap. Is it tailor made, all the outfits then, or?
Generally, yeah. So again, it's quite a big concern, the museum. The Victorian town is only one of 10 museums that the Trust run in and around the Iron Bridge area.
Okay.
But there is a costume department on site, so they make all of our costumes for us.
Okay.
And there's also a costume conservation project down at one of the other sites where they sort of collect and maintain original Victorian clothing. Obviously, we're not allowed to wear that because that's sort of, you know, that's not museum pieces, most.
Mm.
But it's quite a serious concern in terms of conservation of sort of artifacts from the time.
Yeah.
The various museums showcase a lot of it. There's a tile museum. There used to be a big tile production down at Salford at the time. China Museum is a museum of iron, and that's not so much obviously things like, you know, the big things made of iron, engines, machinery. But it's all the smaller things like the sort of cast animals and the beautifully made benches and things like that that you've seen in that Victorian era.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, that was a great period of time for building a great country. What was to become a great country as well.
Yeah,
fantastic. No, it seems to work. Obviously, like we say, the piping ties in hand as well. It's perfect.
It does. It'll probably look better with a clay pipe. However, my hands tend to be absolutely black with oil, coal dust, and filth. So, although it would probably look reasonably authentic, if clean clay pipe was then ended up covered in all sorts of goo, chances are I'd have got it within 2 minutes and broken the thing. So I tend to use, if it's most videos, I've got the old the Peterson system standard is what I use mostly because it's a very dark stain, sort of black stain sandblast, and again, hook your fingers, you're not going to notice.
Yeah.
And it's a good workhorse pipe. That the other one I tend to use occasionally is our good friend Tree sent me a couple of old Meerschaum pipes. So there is one I occasionally take with me, but I think as I spoke to you about before, nice shiny sort of white coloured Meerschaum doesn't go well with dirty, oily, greasy hands. Yeah. So it gets very dirty and rather fatty looking very quickly, and it's a pig to clean it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to use some older estate pipes I take with me.
I have a couple of clay pipes apparently for my Christmas present the wife has got. So that'll be the first time I will have tried them. She's gotten me a couple of they have little yellow wax like tips.
On the end, yeah. Otherwise, the bare clay, if there's any moisture on your lip,
it'll stick, will it?
It'll stick to your lip, and you end up having to literally rip them off. I've got a clay here, actually. I've got a few bits and bobs I'll leave in the garage.
That's a nice one, yeah.
It's like a calabash shape.
Yeah.
That's one of Rex Keys, who makes them in Broseley still. Obviously, okay. It was in the famous old Broseley pipe works, which again, due to the conditions, is closed. But he's still able to make them at home. He's got a number of moulds and a small queuing oven.
Yeah.
So he can still make them at home. But I think I've said previously, back when I first started the whole Victorian Piper thing, the intention was to start training at the Broseley Pipe Works to make clay pipes in an original Victorian factory using the original Victorian method.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, that's had to be put on hold again because of this whole situation. But Rex is a lovely chap. You know, he's got over 50 years experience taking these pipes. And he has agreed to teach me the trade. So even if we have to do it at his house, he's willing to teach me, and obviously I'm more than willing to learn. But again, because he's of advancing years now, so he's shielding. So
right.
Everything's reliant on this all being cleared up, whether it's back to the work or it's back to Rex's house. Either way, he's going to teach me, but it's going to be a little way off again.
Yeah, the sooner we get this vaccination rolling out, the better then. But it really is intriguing, and I watched a video of a very old video, and it had been restored of I think it was in Sheffield, back in certainly the 20s, if not before. It was like when those factories were all starting to close, the clay pipe factories. But she was making church wardens with clay pipes. The way that they thread the wire to get the air hole, you know, it was just outstanding.
It's a real skill, I can imagine. Obviously, I'll be learning to do it, not on a church warden, I wouldn't think. But
hopefully not.
I think even just getting that wire centrally down one of the small pipes, I guess, is going to be quite hard.
Yeah.
Quite an art to learn.
Yeah, and you've ballsed it. If you balls it up, that's it, you know.
Yeah, there's no point trying to repair it.
It's away. That'll be interesting. Hopefully you'll not have too many of those. Just a couple of stiff drinks beforehand to steady those hands. Do they take breaking in then, or are they the same?
No, they'll just smoke from the word go, light them up. I like smoking them actually. So I've got that one there. I've got another 3, I think, in the house. Again, originally I wanted to, like for the recent giveaway I did.
Yeah.
My intention when I did my first giveaway, I wanted to give away pipes I'd made myself. You know, I thought that would have been quite special, but like I say, it couldn't be done because I don't know how to make them at the minute. But there were ones that Rex had made for me specifically for that giveaway. But no, in fact, I think all 3 people I sent them to, none of them had smoked clay before. And I quite like that. I thought that's quite good that they haven't smoked one before. You know, that they're getting an experience from it. But no, they don't need any breaking in. Other than they obviously are a little bit fragile.
Yeah.
You don't want to go dropping them on a hard surface. Otherwise, they're pretty much indestructible clay pipes. You can smoke them. You can get them wet. It doesn't matter. You know, I mean, this is why, if you watch any of the mudlarking videos, where they go mudlarking on the banks of the River Thames and various other places, and they'll find pipes that have been there since, you know, the 17th century, some of the very early ones. And they might have had the stem broken off. Occasionally they'll find an intact one, but there's no reason why you couldn't just clean all the sand and muck out of it and smoke that, and it'd probably smoke as well as it did, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Years ago. They are great things, but obviously they fell out of favour in favour of briar and other materials. But I think it'd be nice to see people smoking them a bit more often.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so relatively cheap.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of, because you can still buy them, but they are great test pipes. A bit like people might use a cob or immersion to test the blending. Clays are ideal for that because again, they don't really go.
Yeah.
And they're so absorbent, you don't need filters. If you're a filter smoker, the only thing I would say is probably the longer stem, the better. Without a filter in it, obviously you're still getting the steam, but they're so absorbent that as long as that stem's long enough, you probably have a pretty good experience with it.
Okay, yeah. And there is no strange taste for the first few smokes or anything? There's nothing?
Not whatsoever. No, because the clay didn't taste of anything. It's been fired at, oh Christ, I don't know the exact temperature, but obviously it's fired at, I don't know, 1,000 degrees or something, I'm guessing at that. But So any impurities or anything that may have been party to taste or smell is long gone.
That's great. I'm really looking forward to that then. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be good.
I'll have to do a wee video on it. Get my clay pipe virginity broken. Yes, I hope you do well at that then. My hands are too shaky. I definitely wouldn't be a good idea.
Yeah, I'm quite good. I'm not particularly skilled at anything. I don't do any woodworking, metalworking. I don't build or make anything. But I'm generally quite good with my hands. So touch wood. I'm looking forward to it anyway when he does that.
Have you carved any briars before?
No, I do keep meaning to get a hobby block. I've got a couple of sharp knives and a couple of old files and a bit of sandpaper. So I do mean to do that. I don't think I'd make anything particularly special or good. In fact, I know I wouldn't.
It's special to you.
I do like the idea that no matter what it looks like, whether it's a complete mess or it does look half decent, it is something you've made.
Yeah.
You know, so it does appeal. I must get around to getting one. So.
Yeah. Just don't go for the grade A stuff, eh? Just in case.
No.
You can spend
one of those pre-drilled kits. I think is the way to go for starting off.
Yeah. Get a bit with a plateau on the edge and do a real Danish freehand. Go for it.
Could do. I do like pipes with the plateau still on it. I haven't got one, but I do like the look.
Have you had a look at sea smoking pipes? He makes.
Yeah, I have. Yes, I do actually have one of Eric's pipes.
Yeah,
I didn't bring it into the garage with me, so I can't show it here. But it is on one of my other videos from when he sent it. It's a beautiful thing. It's one that I'd quite happily just look at as well as smoke the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of pot tomato shaped bowl, and it's got an antique bamboo shank on it.
Lovely.
It's in one of my other videos. But it's a lovely pipe, but the way he's done, he's kind of known for that sort of diamond dot rustication he does.
Yeah.
He uses it a lot in his Rhodesian night pipe.
Yeah.
He's done a pattern that sort of starts up at the top and then curls around the pipe and up the short shank. So then when the bamboo starts, beautiful thing.
Yeah. No, he's very talented indeed.
He is, yeah. He's a lovely bloke as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I try and join a live broadcast anytime I see him going up. Good fun.
Yeah, Eric's live suit mate. A lot of the American and Canadian guys, they'll do theirs at, I don't know, 5 to 7 o'clock at night, their time, which obviously when you then have 5 hours on, it's probably ideal for you and you're sort of, being a night owl, but for me, I've probably been asleep 2 hours, so those late night ones and Simon's as well. His Saturday night one again, he doesn't start till midnight, and it's a very rare, time that I'll actually be able to stay up, even much log in and then stay awake even longer. So I don't tend to do anything. But Eric's does his in the morning, his time, which is usually around 3 or 4 o'clock our time. So that's the time, sort of afternoon, when I'm perhaps not so busy at work, so I can have that on in the background while I'm doing other stuff. Yeah. So it's quite handy that. So I've done quite a few of chatted with Eric and those that join on his line.
Yeah. Oh, it's good fun when you get to join in. Bring the tablet to bed with you, midnight, log in.
Okay, the problem is I just can't stay away. I hate to admit it, but I'm usually sort of starting to feel sleepy around 9 o'clock. So.
It's good that your body does. The dopamine kicks in at the right time. I envy that. Getting to sleep so hard for me, and then once getting up is hard as well because of that. So
yeah, no, I do get my 8 hours. I do tend to sleep quite a long time.
What are you doing at 5 a.m.?
Sorry?
What are you doing at 5 a.m.?
What am I doing at 5 a.m.?
You go,
Not a lot generally. I'm very much a person of routine. I like to get up early. I don't start work till probably 8:45. I just like that time in the morning when the house is quiet, nobody about. I generally go downstairs and I'll either watch YouTube, tend to watch a lot of YouTube videos or stuff on Netflix. I just like to have that quiet hour or so with my breakfast and coffee.
yeah.
Before everybody else then gets up and things start to get a bit hectic. It's just my routine. It's like it.
The calm
For the
before the
reason.
storm, before everyone starts to make breakfast.
It's possibly a legacy of when I used to do the delivery manager's job I was talking to you about before we started.
Okay.
And then I'd be travelling around the UK and Northern Ireland, doing various jobs and surveys on site. So I tended to, a lot of the lads I work with, and they still do that job, they will quite happily stay over. So they'll sort of spend an afternoon, probably not, stay over, do the job from home. I used to quite often like not staying away from home, especially when my daughter was little.
Yeah.
So I'd get into the habit of getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning, getting on the road while it's quiet. I could be on site for 9 o'clock, get the job done, and then I'll be travelling home that same afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's perhaps a legacy of that, because I did that for years, getting up really early. I mean, quite often when I go over to Belfast, it would be a day trip.
Yeah.
So I'd get up early, get a very early train from Telford to Birmingham International, get a flight, Birmingham to Belfast, city, get into the city, do the job, back to the airport in the afternoon, fly home, excuse me, and perhaps get home about 8, 9 o'clock at night. So it was a long day, but I wasn't away from home too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose I see your point then. Having young children as well. Daddy's being missed at home. You got to get home.
That's it. I mean, at the time, yeah. I mean, she's 15 now and doesn't care where I am. Sorry.
Doesn't like you anymore. You're just...
No, it's not that. We still get on really well.
Good.
She's great. She's probably right above us right now, listening to what I'm saying. But obviously, it's that teenage years now, so just spending her time in her bedroom. Doesn't spend much time with her old man anymore.
Is she listening to heavy metal or anything like that?
Now, that's my musical taste. And when she was little, I did my very best to influence that. And she did quite get into it. I took her to a couple of gigs when she was probably only 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. And then as she got older, unfortunately, her sister's influences have been stronger than mine. So she's moved away from the metal and stuff now, and she's into the whatever modern rubbish that kids listen to nowadays.
She might come back to.
She just still likes to kind of dress and that in that kind of a style. You see what I mean? Rather than the things you see young teenage girls wearing nowadays. Frankly, I'd have a fit if I saw her wearing some of it. But yeah, she's a
good.
But now she doesn't do much metal anymore, which I am.
Well, you'll get her back into it. There's plenty of time.
Yeah, she'll come back one day.
They always do.
Funny enough, I'm trying to think. What's the venue in Belfast that used to have a lot of metal bands on? I can't remember.
Well, funnily enough, there was a place actually called The Venue, but you're probably thinking of the Limelight.
The Limelight, that's it.
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah, there's.
Is it? I always tried my best the time going over to Belfast when there was a band on I wanted to see at the Limelight. It never did come off, unfortunately, but I was determined because I used to stay at a hotel in the city on the times where I've got more than one day to work there. So I always tried to wangle that, but we never did that. But I did quite fancy going.
Well, next time you're going, you have to let me know if it happens. I know you don't do that job anymore, but if you do happen to be in Ireland anywhere, give me a shout.
I will do. I can probably wangle something at some point. So I say it's project management I do now. So if I insist that I have to go over and see something for myself, I'm sure I can get the company to pay the expense.
We'll set it up. We'll set it up. So have you any plans for the weekend then? Anything
While we're under lockdown, not really, no. I mean, my motorbike's right in front of me there, just beyond where the phone is.
What do you ride?
I've got an Aprilia at the minute, 750 twin, like a naked style bike.
I like.
It does know.
I prefer them naked. Yeah.
Mm.
I like the bobber style cruisers sometimes.
I quite like bobbers myself, yeah.
Nice.
Never really been one for wanting something like a Harley. I wouldn't say no.
No, if it was free.
Given the choice, it's probably not what I'd pick up. But I say that bike does me well, and I'm saying it seems quite dry today, so I might pop up that later. To the shops, of course.
Yeah, of course.
You can't just go gallivanting for the sake of it while we're in lockdown.
Yeah, it's required. I'm thinking maybe a Honda Shadow to start off, but because you can pick a second-hand one for less than 2,000. So, and if I drop it, then it won't matter too much, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, you do need to be sensible, I think, with the first big bike, if you like. And also, back when I passed my test, which was many, many moons ago, you did your CBT, compulsory basic training. You then took your bike test, your big bike test, whenever you felt you were ready to, and that was it. No restrictions. Off you went. Your bike was the one. I think it's changed a lot now, hasn't it? You're restricted for so long to a certain power, and
yeah,
I don't know the rules. I've not looked into it, but it's when I did it.
Yeah, you can go your direct access, but you have to be over 25, I think. So where you get the CBT, get the theory, and then you do the direct access, which is a bit more stringent maybe, and then you can ride anything. But anyone under 25, all the new bullshit applies to them, But you still have to you can't just get your CBT and jump on a 50cc moped anymore. Or maybe you can. Or no, sorry. Yeah, you need your CBT to do that. You used to be able to just jump on a 50cc and that was it. You just needed a provisional driving license, didn't you? But yeah, you need your compulsory basic training now.
Yeah, it's changed an awful lot since I did my test. It doesn't matter to me, so I've got my full license. I can do what I want.
That's it. So all my friends are bikers, and for the past 20 years have been at me. But when I was about 15, I was on holiday in France, and I came off a scrambler on a road. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and didn't break anything, but I had a good dose of road rash, and it really put me off. I just thought that I didn't have the balance, but these past couple of years I've just decided that it's something that I need to do. So it's the best fun you can have with your clothes on.
I think I would agree. I mean, I've had my bike license for, I can't remember, long time. Again, I had a break. I had bikes for many years and then got more into cars. So I had a couple of different sports cars, and then had a hankering for a bike again. So I've had this one now, this Aprilia, for 2.5 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is great fun, and it's that great freedom to just, throw your gear on, jump on. You don't even need a particular destination. Just
go.
And where I am, right on pretty much on the Welsh border, Shropshire's a quiet county. There are towns sort of dotted around, but the areas in between the towns, it's just deserted.
Right.
Tiny little lanes, rolling countryside, hills. If you further out, you get to Wales, the hillier it gets. It's a beautiful place, part of the world. I always thought, actually, when again, over in Northern Ireland, because once you get out of the vast urban area of Belfast, you then start to go out, it is just wild country, a lot of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country as well.
Yeah.
So I did mean to do if I could, to do a bit more touring. occasionally I'd go over for 2 or 3 days and I'd have to hire a car. And like I said, one of the offices I was dealing with at the time was Derry. So I used to take some of the sort of more out of the way routes to get to Derry, and there was some beautiful fun.
Yeah, there's a
I'd
lovely,
like to drive on the bike.
yeah, there's a lovely coastal route, which is very famous, up basically from Belfast to Portrush, all along the coastal roads. Absolutely,
Yeah, I've done it.
actually,
Yeah, one of the times when I had a car, I got a spare afternoon, so did a bit of touring around, driving around up that area, up to the can't think what it's called now. The Abnoa trees that they're using down the Thrones a lot, and
oh yeah, yeah,
Giant Causeway and all along that way. It's lovely.
yeah. Maybe in the future we'll have a ride together then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
You can
that out.
teach me all your bad habits.
No. Quite the opposite. Because I'd had such a long break, I was always a fairly sensible rider. Fairly sensible rider. I did decide that because I'd had quite a big gap, I'd do some advanced training. So
Okay.
I did do my Institute of Advanced Motorists advanced test, and that was really, really good. I think a lot of people, or a lot of bikers I know, they'll perhaps sort of look down the nose a bit at, advanced training, but I think always a bit stuffy, the IAM and Prosper and, the groups like that promote better riding. And they think, a lot of them think, well, I can ride, I'm a good rider, but I think that training I did, and I did it pretty much this time last year, so it was all through the winter. So to sort of do all those advanced techniques and the lines they teach you and looking through the bends and all the rest of it that goes with it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people wouldn't do it in the winter because it's not a great time to ride the motorbike. But if you think of the variance in road surfaces, wet, slippery, extension of the odd bit of ice and that, I think it really made me a better rider, to be honest. And I'm certainly far more confident now to ride in the wet and things like that. Because a lot of people, I think, raining to get that,
right?
Because they just haven't got the confidence
to
go around the bend in the wet.
I did
but
my
the advanced training, very, very good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I think I will do it. I did my CBT, luckily in the rain. I think luckily anyway, but there's always a good chance of rain in this part of the world. But
yeah,
I'm glad it was. And the guy, I don't. I mean, by the end of it, I was on a 600 out in the rain and going 60 miles an hour up the airport road. I don't know if he was meant to do that or not, but he took us out on 600s. I thought you were only meant to do 250 or 125.
I don't think the bike matters as long as it's been restricted down to whatever horsepower is. Yeah.
But yeah, certainly a lot of fun. I can't wait to get a bike properly. But
when you say the airport road, was that the road out to the international airport? Where it's sort of out in the sticks a bit more.
Yes, yeah. Headed towards
not the city airport on that dual carry side.
Too many police officers.
Funny enough, I remember you saying about police. I flew in one year to do a couple of days jobs, and it was July you'll know the day.
12th?
The 12th, July the 12th. I flew in, got to the hire desk for my car, and the lady at the desk said, where are you going? I said, oh, right into the city. And she went, says, you'll not get in.
No, you're not.
What do you mean? She said, well, the 12th, it's, the marches are on. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll be honest, I was a bit ignorant. I didn't know too much about that. I got in the car, came out of the city airport as you head down then towards the city. And as you come down towards, you'll know, there's like a big island as you come from the airport direction towards the city. I had never seen so many armoured Land Rovers.
Yeah.
All parked up in a row. There were police absolutely everywhere. And she was right. I couldn't get to where I'd normally go and park and to my hotel. I had to park about a mile out.
Yeah.
And then walk in. but it was quite fascinating. To all the markers, it was just as all the markers were coming back into the town hall square.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite, and I did do a bit of research after that, and
Yeah.
sort of
Just would have
educated
thought.
myself a bit better. But there was all sorts to do the following day over the bonfires, the crazy bonfires they have, where they set them up as I didn't get them. Because they built one right next to a brand new hotel that had just been built at the time.
Yeah, I remember that year. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was all sorts of, so it was like a special edition of the newspaper the following morning. So I was sat eating breakfast in the hotel, reading through the special editions, all the pictures and that. Yeah, interesting bit of history of that.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I used to live in an area of Belfast which was right in the middle of everything there, where Ardoyne, it's called, where all the protests are, basically where the interface is between the two sides.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, the bill for the police officers one of the years was something like 700,000 or something stupid, just for one night, you know, just for the.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
But hey, it happens.
An interesting place though. As a city, I do love Belfast. I think it's a lovely city.
Yeah, it's come a long way. It's not dangerous anymore, and there's a lot of
No, not at all.
A lot of new bars and restaurants, and obviously now with COVID and everything, it's, you know, hopefully everything just gets a nice cash injection and a bit of a kickstart after the virus. We live in hope. Well, listen, Sean, let's see, it's been well over an hour now, I think. We'll try and keep it, we'll cut it off here just in case we lose interest of our lovely viewers. But thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
Me too. We'll do it again. It's been great fun. It's been great to get to know a bit more about yourself and the whole Victorian side and everything like that as well. So I do appreciate you doing this for me. Thank you very much.
Problem.
Great. And I'll speak to you again shortly then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers.